For this week's episode, we say no to Jack and Co. Steve shows us a great alternative drink to make. Check it out. Hey, what's going on? We are Eat This, Drink That. Welcome to Season 4. This is Episode 3. We're doing bourbon all season. Old Forester again, old foe. And we came across a little topic last week, which is I was like, Steve, what do you think about Jack and Cokes? And he was sort of like, I don't drink them, and it's sort of the gateway drug.
So let's actually recap. I can actually perform Steve from last week.
Here we go.
So it's not something I would do. People do it. I would be cautious with which spirit you choose. Obviously, we're talking whiskey. But cut to this week today, and he's like, no. No, he put on his like server game face, like public consumer facing Steve. Not eat this, drink that, Steve.
Not eat this, drink that, Steve.
And we know what we're here for.
Exactly. So we're going to run with that theme today, which is basically just say no to Jack and Coke. Just say no to Jack and Co. I think it's the title. Because for a lot of reasons. There's better bourbons. I don't drink cola. I don't drink pop. I stopped drinking pop a long time ago. So that's one reason. I changed the cocktail that I was going to do today as an alternative to a Jack and Coke.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Yes.
I think this is freaking brilliant. I'm going to get on Twitter right now. And can I blast this on Twitter? Can I just do this?
Yeah, there should be a share function.
I'm going to do it. Share with broadcast to the world.
Yeah.
I think you can. So let's talk about this. The reason why Jack and Coke came up is because we were talking about Ollie's barbecue ribs last week that were amazing looking. And what do you drink with it? Let's make some cocktails for the backyard. You can pre-batch them to some degree. And Ryan was like, why not pre-batch a bunch of Jack and Cokes? And there are better cocktails. So what we're doing today, and we're also, each week that we do a cocktail, we're going to go into something a little deeper on whiskey, American whiskey. So today we're going to talk about production, how it's made.
Nice.
That will kind of give you an idea of some of the style differences that you're going to run into. That at the last episode of this season, you guys are going to blind taste 4 different bourbons and decide what style it is you like the most. So today's cocktail comes from the Sling. So that's it's a translated word from the German word for swallow, to swallow. So Sling traditionally is sugar, water, bitters, and spirit.
You said it's just swallow, and now you're telling me what to swallow. Classic Germans. Just telling you what to do.
We're going to tell you everything.
Water and sugar.
Yep. So today, it's really simple. It's kind of a play. So you remember the practice session we did about a month ago, and I made up a cocktail based on traditional recipes, and I just put, some honey and it was basically a Sling. I have changed a little ratios because I think I had too much lemon. So it's a Bourbon Sling. So all season we're using Old Foe 100 because I like 100 proof for cocktails. Really lets the bourbon come shining through. We're going to use for the simple syrup instead of simple syrup, I should say. Club soda. I've already gotten my lemon ready.
Oh my God, look at that. Seriously? That's like what Japanese chefs do to prepare for like sushi service. Did you see that thing carved up like Edward Scissorhands? How much rind do you need? Jesus. Okay.
I don't think I've had lemon very often with bourbon.
I feel like this is what grandmas, like from the olden days, would be like. Oh, do you have a cold? Drink some whiskey and lemon. You know,
Make us a little Tom Collins.
And my
Yeah, there you
bitters
go.
today, I'm going to use orange bitters instead of
Because he
84.
bought 19 bottles of bitters, he might as well get some value out of it.
Here, I got one more secret surprise because we did talk about this a little bit when Ali was talking about putting that great recipe together based on Japanese ingredients for the basically the sauce for the ribs.
Yeah.
We talked about pantry list. So I brought out my pantry list.
Guys, don't worry about you taking a mental photograph because he keeps this lunacy. I mean, look at that thing. It's beat up. It looks like it's from like the original Constitution draft. Look at that old paper. It smells like a library.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about production before we go into
Ryan's contribution was yeah, okay.
No, I said he's the Dexter of pantry lists.
Yeah.
It is. It's very Dexter. Definitely. Dexter.
I follow this, and when I'm home and I'm not on the road, and I have more time to be at home and cook, that pantry list gets filled out, and I'm cooking.
Okay. We'll
So
this. Come on.
And we'll go back into the how many mustards you must have in your refrigerator.
You're jumping episodes here. Task at hand.
Yeah. So before we make the cocktail, let's talk about production. It's really simple. So you remember it has to be 51% corn. If you remember, we also talked about mash bills in the first episode. Yeah. Your second grain is your real contributing factor to flavor. Hence the lemon, because rye provides kind of a dusty lemon and black pepper spice to the finished bourbon. So lemon
and rye go together. And just to hammer it home, we're doing Old Forester 100. It's 51% corn, 49% rye.
No. This one is, hold on. I wrote it down. 72 corn, 18 rye, 10% malted barley. Okay. And we'll dive in a couple weeks. We're going to do an episode on styles, and we'll talk about what each grain really provides. The malted barley is very simple. It's for enzymes for production. So you're starting with corn. Everybody starts with corn. There's no sugar in corn. It's not like grapes that have actual sugar inside the grape. So all you really have to do with a grape, because there's yeast kind of on the outside from the vineyard, is put them in a bucket, crush them, everything will start on its own.
Okay. So why is corn synonymous with sugar, like high fructose corn syrup?
Well, because it's production. Yeah, they process that to death, and that's why it's pretty much bad for you, because it's
processed.
It's just processed sugar.
But we need sugar to have alcohol.
Yeah. And this is really easy. You cook it and you hydrolyze the starch that's in the sugar, and it converts to sugar. So you convert.
So you cook corn, you get sugar.
Bingo. Yeah. So what we do, or what bourbon producers do, is they take the corn, they grind it down real fine, and then they put it with water and they cook it. They will then cool that and then add the second grain, either wheat or rye. Then they cool that and they add the malted barley. And then
when they add wheat, are they adding ground wheat? It's not
flour.
They're
grinding.
Right?
Yeah, they're grinding everything.
Okay.
Everything is ground.
Okay.
And then you have this mixture, and it's mash, and that mixture is basically a sugar soup. Let's call it that. So then you got to ferment it. This is the secret. So everybody protects their yeast strains pretty well. They might use one or two. It's providing flavor to the finish. So now you got to take that sugar that was cooked, turn it into alcohol so you can start the process of distillation. So you throw in your yeast, they eat it all up, they eat the sugar, alcohol is produced, and then you're ready to distill. Now, we've talked about Four Roses before. Four Roses is very transparent. I mean, we don't know what the yeast is. They just give it a letter designation. They have 5 different yeast strains they use with 2 different mash bills. One's a very high rye, like 35%. The other one's a lower rye. It's still high rye. I think it's 20. So they get 10 flavor streams. They get 10 separate recipes that are all treated separately. They're not blended together. They go into warehouse by themselves. So anyway, they're very transparent. Everybody else protects and guards like a state secret. The E strain. So
Coke.
Yeah, bingo. So now we got we got an alcohol base. So now we got to run it through the stills. We got to convert it to a higher level of alcohol, get flavor, and you're basically, it's almost like simmering a sauce. You're reducing,
Yeah.
and getting more flavor. Let's keep it that little kind of idea. So first distillation goes through a column still, and it goes all the way up to 40 or 50% alcohol from maybe 10 or 12. So you run it through the column still. It's continuous. Then you have to get it into the doubler. So that is like a very simple looking pot still. So the big pot still shape, you're getting a lot more flavor from this. You're refining what you just did in the column still. You're getting more flavor. This is where most of the flavor comes, actually, is the second still. There's two different kinds of doublers. A regular simple pot still, you cool it, you put in that, you run it through again, you redistill one more time. It's up to whatever, 50 or 65%. I wrote down some of the people's. Where is it?
So when it's going through a still, is it cooking or is it what is
No. So you have these volatile organic compounds inside the liquid that they're called congeners. They're your flavors, and these things are tumbling inside and they're distilling. So the heavier ones will keep redistilling until it goes out the arm.
So the congener is like in with all this whatever the man.
Yeah, all this flavor. Yeah, it's all the flavor that's coming.
It's just so this is some chemistry shit.
Yeah.
Vapor. There's vapor forming. It's
exactly. It's a alcohol vapor. You're basically if you kept distilling all the way out, you would have Everclear. And it would be high test, high proof alcohol, no flavor.
He's thinking about the band.
Yeah.
He's thinking about when he drank Everclear, when the band was around.
Yes.
I mean, literally. Yeah.
So
awesome.
Everclear is like one of those things, right, where your friend gets it, 1 week, and they're like, "Let's try Everclear," and you guys just get like obliterated, and you never buy it again.
Ever.
Yeah. No, it's a one and done. Yeah. And I've never even had it. I was just like, why?
You know what mine was? It was Yukon Jack. And the only reason I thought about this is because I saw a distributor truck that had a Yukon Jack banner on the outside.
I don't even know what that is.
It's horrible. Horrible.
It's just horrible.
Horrible. Drink, horrible. Yeah. I mean, horrible. So anyway, I wrote down some of the proofs that are coming out. So Wild Turkey comes out at 56% ABV. So you started at roughly 10. You went through your first distillation, column still. It cools, goes into the doubler, then redistill one more time. Turkey pulls it off at 56. Maker's Mark pulls it off at 65. And then Four Roses.
So doesn't that make it a higher proof?
Yeah, so that's higher. Yeah, so proof is just alcohol times 2. That's it.
Got you.
As you go up that scale, it is more refined. So think of it in terms of if you're pulling it off lower, all those heavier congeners are still in there. There's more flavor and they're deeper. Whereas Maker's Mark, it's wheat, so it's soft. It's higher ABV, so it's more refined. Fun fact, they actually also move the barrels. They rotate their rack house, so every barrel will basically taste the same. Because depending where, and we'll talk about this later in another episode, depending on where it is in the rack house, you might be in the center on the first floor, and that's a little cooler. You're going to have less play with the wood. Or you could be up on the 7th floor right next to the southern sun, and it's super hot, and there's more evaporation. There's more play with the wood. So long story short, Makers goes for a very refined, soft bourbon.
Cool.
So, Steve, I don't know if you'd cut out there, but the higher the proof on the whiskey, the cleaner it is. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
yeah, that's a good way to. Yeah, it's clean. It's very refined.
Okay.
Very elegant. It also could come off very hot if they don't.
That's my experience.
Yeah.
Like fire, water.
Yeah, because so we still haven't. Now we've done everything. We're pulling off at. Let's take Maker's Mark. They're pulling off at 65%. Now it has to mature. Remember the law from episode 1. 100% new charred American oak. Has to go in. It's basically I think it's 200 liters for most of them. 100% new charred oak. The charcoal, that char on the inside acts like charcoal. As it's moving back and forth in the wood, it's actually charcoal filtering the liquid. It's getting rid of impurities. There's a lot of things that happen.
So it's literally burnt wood. You're throwing this
wood.
stuff in freaking burnt wood.
Burnt wood. And depending on the char level, it can be a good char, like a thick coat of
How
charcoal.
do you not get little black flecks?
Well, because they
wood?
filter. They filter after they pull it out of barrel.
I mean, how many filters are made out of charcoal? So, I mean, this is a known.
And I didn't understand that either.
We all know
you know
charcoal.
what I mean? I'm like, what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hell is this?
Yeah.
I have charcoal in the backyard. Believe me, you don't want to drink that.
Yeah.
don't want to drink
It's a
it?
terrible idea.
Yeah. In tequila, they actually use charcoal filtration for añejos and reposados, and they call them cristalinos.
I just want to say how many times like you'll hear that, like, oh yeah, it's charcoal filtered, and I'm literally like, I don't know what the hell that means. Do not know what that means, and I'm slowly trying to understand it. So hopefully you can understand that there's like there's things need to happen to make this stuff, and if you understand what it is, you actually understand what you're buying.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And you don't want people just buying corn. Yeah, you want quality from beginning to end. So it matters where the corn comes from. It matters how it's produced. It matters to the producer. There's a lot of steps, more refinement or a specific ABV, going into barrel, how long it's in barrel. There's a lot of quality factors that go into this production of a bourbon. So, yeah.
So why are we just saying no to Jack and Co? What's
Let's
what's
just
going
get back
on?
to the fun.
I forgot a few things that we can throw in here. So we've gone through, we've cooked, we've fermented, we distilled column, we distilled pot. Now it's in barrel. We're going to pull it out of barrel at whatever time they designate. Then it is filtered for the flakes and it's watered back to a specific ABV. Let's talk about Makers again. They come out at 40% in bottle. It's bottled and it's shipped. So that's 80 proof on Makers. This is coming out at 100. By law, it has to be under 125 going into barrel, and it has to be 40% ABV and up for it to be bottled. Okay. So there's rules governing it.
Because we have 151 rum. That's different.
Different. Yeah.
Okay.
We're just bringing back all the big high school hits right there. 51 rum. Yeah.
So, I forgot to talk about sour mash. Everybody uses sour mash. It might not say it on the label. That's just that's kind of like sourdough. You leave back some of that yeast liquid, the back set. It adds more acidic. It's more acidic, but it adds flavor to the new fermentation.
So they always add this? Like sour mash happens in all bourbon?
Yeah, I think
Jack Daniels
so.
is probably the only one that advertises it. Maybe.
I remember that. I was like, sour mash.
Don't say that on the thing.
Yeah, there's some bourbon producers. I can't remember who. Jack Daniels is a bourbon. It's charcoal filtered. They love their sour mash. I'm just not a fan of Jack Daniels. That's it.
Is there any good Jack Daniels?
I think they have higher end Jack Daniels. I have bourbons that I like to drink, and that's what I drink. So
what about, do you like the honey Jack Daniels?
No. I don't like flavored bourbons. I'll flavor it myself. I'll flavor it myself.
So how would you flavor? How would you make a honey whiskey? Just like what would you heat up the honey
I think we're
first and
going to
then
find
add it,
out.
or
Isn't that a
what's the
drink?
deal?
Well, I think the ones that like he's referring to, and I think another Tennessee whiskey, Dickel, does a Tabasco. They're just adding the flavor into the finished product before it goes out.
Okay.
But then, so now the bourbon has come all the way to my house, and we're going to make a sling, the alternative to a Jack and Co. So,
wow. All right.
It's really
What is
simple,
Is
too.
it called a sling?
Yeah,
It's called
sling.
Okay.
Bourbon sling.
Now you know why Jack and Coke is more popular because
Yeah.
not a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, let me get a round of Sleen. It's like spleen without the P. It's a terrible name.
Too close
We're
to
going to come up
spleen.
with a better name.
Yeah, you can make up anything you want. This is super easy, too. It's 2 ounces of bourbon. I played with the ratios on this. I'm only doing teaspoons of the other ingredients, heavy teaspoons. So for the lemon, it's roughly a 1/4 ounce. You can go up to a 1/2 ounce if you want. That's a half a lemon. It's literally just a little heaping teaspoon. And then I'm using a teaspoon of honey. You can up that too. You can go up to, as sweet as you want it. You can go up to a 1/4 ounce. I think a teaspoon is something like 0.17 ounce.
It just feels like he's creating something because, like, I have a sore throat. You know what I mean? You know, it just feels like it's more like it feels medicinal.
Yeah.
It feels medicinal. How about the Ricola? How about it's like the Greer. It's a Ricola is what it is.
So I've already squeezed my lemon. I I ran it through a strainer twice. I don't want pulp. I don't want seeds. I want clean juice. So I already have that heaping teaspoon. So I'm making a couple extra steps here. Usually I already have my ice in there, right? Because it's citrus, we're going to shake it before the club soda. I want to stir all this a little bit because of the syrup is a little thicker. So now 2 ounces of bourbon.
So you already put the lemon in there, right?
Yeah, so I just put that teaspoon of lemon.
Got it.
We're going
the
2 ounces. Little Ofo, 2 ounces.
What the heck? What are you doing the rest of the day, Steve? What's going on?
I know. I wish my timing's perfect to have one of those.
Yeah. I'm not. Well, it is past noon here, so I'm okay to have a drink.
Okay, you're okay.
I won't be driving today, so I'm going to just hang out downtown.
Well, it's just there too.
I know. I still can't believe I missed you.
Can't believe you guys missed each other.
I know. It's crazy.
All right, so lemon's in, whiskey's in.
Boom. Teaspoon.
Okay.
I have my little accoutrement section over here.
A whole nother episode. I can't believe you keep them in a cup.
My jar of spoons. You can use whatever spoon you want. Actually, you can't.
So I'm doing a heaping because I want a little more than that 0.1.
Are you really the guy that measures out honey? You can eyeball because half of it gets stuck to the spoon.
I know. Well,
good point.
I'm doing so. Watch this. I'm going to use that spoon to stir. That's why there's no ice in there. I didn't want the ice. We're gonna let the honey go. Ollie, if I was making this not on the live episode, I would eyeball this. I would squeeze one pump, put the honey in, be done with it.
Okay. Hey, can we see what brand of honey is that? Because I'll be honest, like I don't know if I'm doing my best job with
Whole Foods. It's called Local Hive. I don't know if this is a Colorado. Yeah, it's Greeley, Colorado. I'm sure Whole Foods in Austin and LA have a local honey producer.
Okay. Fair enough. That's worth it.
There you go.
So let's get rid of that.
Local honey.
I got my ice. This is my shaking ice.
There it is. Look at that chick. It's more of a rectangle as well. It's not even a cube.
Yeah. Whoop. I was afraid of that.
Splashy, splashy.
I
So
know.
you have a mold. You have a rectangular mold.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
have
your
molds.
move?
Yeah, I'll grab. You know what? I'll grab the mold and show you what I have. We want 30 seconds, and we're really just kind of mixing the ingredients, dilution, and chilling it down.
I don't know if Steve's made it to 30 seconds yet on a episode.
Yeah, it's
It's usually
true.
about 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know what he
That
does.
was
Only
like
because
honestly maybe 10, 11.
you guys really
At
don't
best.
need to hear me
You
shake.
don't need to hear it for 30
Yeah.
seconds. But
Exactly.
Okay, fine. Sure.
I love
Although I
my.
have to tell you, I have done it when I make those daiquiris, and it's when you make a cocktail, you absolutely understand how you end up paying so much at a bar.
Yeah.
Because like just making man, like to do it right, like from scratch every time, not that batch stuff that I know Steve
tip your
advocates
bartenders.
for.
Tip your bartenders.
Yeah, tip your
I mean,
bartenders.
there's a lot that goes into making those cocktails at bars.
A good one too.
Yeah, a really good one, exactly. So I'm going to show you my ice molds. Hold on real quick. I'll be right back.
All right.
By the way, I'm using Collins glasses. I love these. These were my grandmother's. They're really old. They're 10. I love these. You can use
Does
whatever.
that really make a difference, folks? He's just left. He is wearing mustard-colored pants. I feel like that's worth sharing to the world.
I'm about to make a Tom Collins. I feel like I need to pull on a slot machine or something.
Yeah. There's
So
something
Vegas.
about it's like I don't know, and even calling it a sling. A whiskey Ricola that possibly could be a thing. Bourbon Ricola. Can you do a whiskey Ricola? I'll do a bourbon Ricola. Yeah,
A little lozenge.
Ricola.
I'm going to
Think
use
of a
that
lozenge.
ice.
It's like when I'm cold, and I have a cold, and I'm drinking whiskey at the same time.
So now we strained.
Because he won't dare use that same shaker ice in the glass.
All right.
Because it's been diminished a whole 0.4% or whatever.
We're not full. So now we're doing the club soda as your topper.
Right.
And you don't want to shake with club soda. Just don't shake with club soda, please.
Okay.
It's going to explode or what?
No,
Just don't
I
shake
don't think. Yeah, just don't shake it.
All right.
Just don't do it. It's a topper.
This is right around 3 to 4 ounces.
Okay.
I cut up my lemon peels to make them look a little nicer. I'm using lemon as the garnish.
I see you're twisting it. Is that to release the oil? Yeah, there you go. Rubbing the glass.
Yep.
All right. All this matters. It all counts.
It all
Drops
counts.
it in there.
All of this counts.
Yeah.
Oof.
Damn. All right. So it's interesting because you have it was club soda, right?
Yeah. Let me show you the ice molds.
Okay.
I have one like that, but that's a cube. Oh, yeah. There. Look at that.
And then this is the...
there it is. Look at that.
This is shaking ice. Hold on.
Oh, my God. I can only imagine what your poor neighbors have to hear. Yeah, I know. Honestly, I can't believe it's taken us this long because he's been doing this the whole time. Yeah. He's had these like rectangular, like cylinders. They're not quite a cylinder. It is a rectangle. Rectangular cylinder. I guess I was right the first time. But that's kind of clutch.
Yeah,
that's clutch right there.
Steve, with the Jack and Cokes I used to order in L.A. in my 20s and 30s, or 20s
30s
mainly.
too, huh?
Yeah. No, in the 20s, I would get like a lime. They would put a lime in the Jack and Coke.
That actually makes sense.
And then I remember ordering one night, and the guy was like, don't make me put a lime in your Jack and Coke. You're ridiculous.
Right.
He totally blasted me. And I was like, I didn't know, but that's how they were being made for me at whatever. I think I was at the Rustic. And they just
Rustic Inn.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
That's a
They
deep
made them
dive.
with the lime. And so I remember going one place to get it. And I was like, oh, where's the lime? He's like, don't make me do that to your Jack and Coke. And I was like, whoa. So what's going on with that?
So that's just a flavoring component. That's adding flavor. A lime is pretty intense in flavor.
I think Coke is good together.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
It is. Like, obviously, the rum and Coke, the lime makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
I feel like it's worth noting that, Ye Rustic is a dive bar in Los Angeles, specifically in Los Feliz, that for a long time I would say would be where you go to get wings.
Yeah.
Period.
The wings are
Buffalo
killer.
wings.
The wings
Boom.
are killer.
That's what you do. My move. I would go extra crispy suicide sauce
Right.
being the spiciest. But then I would eventually go back. I would ease back on the stick. Sometimes it'd be overkill. But a great bar, I think it's still around.
Oh, it's still
in
around.
LA.
It is still around. It's where everybody goes to watch football. I go there a lot. I can't believe they have limes at the Rustic to put into drinks.
Yeah. I would not get a salad at that establishment. I would
Right.
not test their produce.
Right. But you're right about the wings. So how did we get to this recipe? Ryan, if you want, you can kill my other camera.
Okay.
I kind of like it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You can leave it up.
fascinating. Yeah. It's such a great setup.
Yeah.
All those tools too. Look at those.
Yeah.
tools.
And our honey. We got our
There
honey.
you go.
This is not very sweet. This is more refreshing. So the reason we came up with this whole Jack and Coke alternative was because of Ali's amazing ribs with the sauce. What are we going to drink with it? We need something light and refreshing. You don't want to sit around and drink old fashions and, maybe
That
for
gets old. That gets old.
You're not going to have a bunch of those.
Not to get through the ribs.
You want
to warm up.
Something refreshing and something that kind of has some effervescence to cut through all that fat, all that sauce. So this was my alternative to a refreshing cocktail. You can pre-batch this if you're having a party. You can put the honey, the lemon, and the bourbon all together, leave it in a pitcher, and then shake them to order and pour the club soda. You can do it that way. It's super simple. And then, Ali, you got a really good point. This is also great with buffalo wings. What do you...
Well, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But, it is interesting because it's, look, I drink whiskey. Like, old fashions is what got me into whiskey. Now I just drink it over ice, but, over the big cube. But that's so intense.
Yeah.
And this is opening up, an opportunity to create, like, this is like, an easy ass cocktail. You know what I mean? There's no muddling, know?
I totally forgot. So,
The bitters.
you can add your bitters at the end also.
That's, what's funny? I was just going to say, you don't have to, you buy your expensive bitters, but at the same time, when you already have them, I'm the sucker who has them. Yeah, then that's kind of nice too. I bet that's that extra nice little touch.
Yeah. Yep.
This also makes it more warm weather approachable as well. I mean, I think that's, I don't know. I'd eat ribs. It could be stone cold out. I'd eat ribs.
And this is kind of that autumn cocktail too, where it's still Indian summer. It's a little warmer. It's, it's not terribly cold yet. We haven't had first frost. Yeah. I think it's 70 something today here in Denver. LA, it's always warm. Shorts on Thanksgiving is normal. This is a great Thanksgiving cocktail too. You're only having 2 ounces of bourbon. It's not like you're, it's only 2 ounces of bourbon.
I wonder,
cool.
I'm thinking that as much as, I brought up the Jack and Coke on a level because I think it's a great drink, but I think that with all the sugar from the Coke and for whatever's going on with the Jack, it's like a bad hangover cocktail.
Yeah. Dude.
So I'm feeling like Steve's one that he made today is going to have a lot less of those side effects.
Mm-hmm.
It strikes me as refreshing, and it's kind of funny because the sauce, the whole thing from last week's episode, when if you haven't watched it, I got some great a rack of Texas ribs from a local barbecue joint that were just dry rub. There was no sauce, and rather than make a barbecue sauce, I made basically a tahini soy dressing that goes with a Japanese spinach salad called gomai. But that dish happens at izakaya restaurants. And izakaya is basically like Japanese tapas, like little bites. Basically, it's food to eat while you drink, which is perfect in my opinion.
Yes.
And I think that drink would actually be great with izakaya in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just something... I mean, look, you're just sipping away. In fact, I'd almost argue it's better than beer and sake. You know,
Yeah.
I just there's something about it. It's just kind of like, yeah, it seems like it's almost like kind of how look, the bubbles in champagne. That's how you cut through so much food. It just kind of
Hmm.
works. It doesn't get in the way too much. That looks like a drink, even though it's got bourbon and 100 proof bourbon. Doesn't look like it's gonna get in the way. And I
No.
think that's what's interesting.
Yeah. So great point. We only have 2 ounces of bourbon. And I keep saying only, and I know that might sound like, hey, wait a minute, it's 2 ounces of bourbon. But there's 4 ounces of club soda. So the
Yeah,
majority of the drink is club soda. But because we used a good
100
bourbon,
proof
100
and
proof,
100
it's
proof.
still coming
That's good
through.
balance right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's still coming through.
Okay.
Speaking of champagne with food, my favorite thing with sushi is champagne. I mean, it's just my favorite.
Yeah.
Period. Blanc de Blanc, especially.
Yeah. I mean, I now like I had when I was in Miami, we had a Nikkei, so like the
Yeah,
Peruvian sushi thing, and we just did like one bottle of sake, but
yeah,
it was like nothing super crazy. I mean, sometimes like you just things get a little messy when you're just chasing beer and
yeah, yeah,
sake. You know what I mean?
yeah,
If you're gonna have like a freaking really perfect piece of nigiri, like
yeah.
something that's like you don't even need soy sauce
Right.
because there's already something on there.
Yeah.
I think something like lighter,
Yeah.
let that flavor shine. And this is a cool way to take something that would be notoriously powerful, 100 proof bourbon,
Yeah.
and let it behave around your food.
Yeah.
How about
I'm
that?
not pouring 4 fingers of this and just sitting around sipping bourbon all night.
Boring.
Yeah. You know,
Believe me, when I do that, the world's not boring.
right. No, it's not. And you're not boring either.
No way.
Yeah, you're pretty exciting.
All the decisions I'm about to make.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm saying it's
Yeah.
boring not to pour 4 fingers, is what I'm saying.
That's
So
true.
this is this cocktail is your backyard barbecue, your burgers, your wings,
Huh.
your ribs, brisket. It's
Yeah.
so light and refreshing. This is actually really good, by the way.
Wow.
Oh, I'm
I
ready.
mean, it's
I'm about to
really
jump
good.
into it.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, I like that. I got to tell you too. The other day, I come back. I was gone again. I was in New York, and I came back, and I was like really looking forward to having leftovers at home because I've been traveling so much, just been eating
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes random stuff, not ideal. And I had jambalaya in the fridge, and I had those
Yes.
ribs. And I was sitting there, and I had the jambalaya, then I went and had those ribs, and I'm having it with that gomai sauce, and I'm like, it's still weird. I'm still trying to put my finger on it, but I'm like, is this brilliant or is this kind of weird and off, but it somehow works?
Okay,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, there's a difference between like I've discovered electricity or like I think I just shocked my arm.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the heck's happening. So I'm a big believer in, especially with Texas barbecue, so dry rub. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a lot of intense smoke, heavy bark. Sometimes because a lot of like coarse ground black pepper in the barbecue rub. I think salsa works amazing. I
Oh,
promise you, salsa
yeah.
and brisket, brilliant. I
Wow.
mean, it just is. So I was having my rib with my gomai dressing, and I'm like, oh, I've got some salsa from the taco joint. Good charred salsa too,
Yes.
although it was a little. Usually, it's good enough in my opinion. However, I literally was like, yeah, it's not nearly as interesting as the gomai because the gomai is sweet. Like there's
Right.
like something about barbecue and it being sweet works really well, but that's
Hmm.
not the Texas barbecue narrative, right?
I see.
That's the traditional barbecue you always picture. Kansas City
Kansas
sauces are
City.
perfect for it. But
Yeah.
this was a great, there's something about sweet, and I think with this cocktail, the fact that there's honey in there as well, the
Yeah.
sweetness play is neat too. God, I gotta
I
get to
think
some
I
of that
mentioned
stuff.
on the episode last week when you were making that sauce, I make a version of that for a lot of marinades, pork and salmon and fish,
Mm,
but it's red miso. I still use the mirin, the rice wine vinegar, a little bit of honey, ground ginger, throw in sesame seeds, and
okay.
stir all that up. I mean, play around with Japanese flavors because they are amazing on a lot of different foods.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um, and if you remember, I do on the pantry list have those ingredients in house all the time.
That
Steve,
would be, you know what? We definitely need to somehow post that stuff, or at least like we should pull something from that, and I should like have to come up with a recipe on the spot. But it is true, like having stuff like soy sauce around, and not just because you're making teriyaki, but using it in other dishes. I've seen recipes for beef stew where they
Right.
add soy sauce, and it's powerful. And it's not to turn it into some hybrid dish. It's just that it's very effective in adding salt first and foremost, but also just overall savoriness.
There's the miso.
Steve, I got a question. So I know this season is intrinsically about bourbon, which is an American thing. Are we going to touch upon some of the Japanese or Asian whiskeys that are around? Do we have any?
So that could be its own. That can be one whole episode. Japanese whiskey is pretty amazing, and they do all kinds of different versions.
Do they do one that's like bourbon?
Yeah.
In the style of,
I can't remember who.
Maybe that could be an episode, whether we do it this season or not.
Yeah.
We can do it after this season. If
Japanese whiskey is on fire too. It's
doesn't Taiwan have a pretty good?
Trending?
It's trending. Hibiki is the one that everybody freaks out about. Suntory time.
Yeah, that's everywhere.
I got a taster once in the mail of like 6 different Taiwanese whiskeys, and I wrote a little story.
Taiwanese? I didn't know they. Ooh.
Yeah.
There's Indian whiskey. There's really good Indian whiskey. Taiwanese.
For real?
Yeah. I can't remember the producer. I don't see it that often. But yes, I've had it. It was amazing. Whiskey is popular around the globe.
Yeah.
And then everybody will produce something locally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Steve, thanks for showing us this new Jack and Coke fixer.
Yeah. I mean, in the end of the day, everyone knows what a Jack and Coke is, but you also know that sometimes it leads to a rough next day. And I think a big part of it is like you're like drinking way too much Coke. Like
it's the sugar.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you're just like boom, boom, boom.
I shouldn't say this, but it reminds me of what my parents drank when I was young, because you always kind of snuck a sip of whatever they were having. Whiskey sodas, but they used crappy soda and crappy whiskey. So, Seagram 7, that is not quality.
Or like Clooney or something.
Yeah. But that's what this kind of tastes like. This really is nothing more than a whiskey soda. You throw in some whiskey, you pour club soda over it, you're done.
Boom.
But we've added some other ingredients. So, cool. That's the Sling.
Thank you so much,
that's
Steve.
better than Sleen. I thought it was called Sling.
Sling, Sling.
Oh,
Sling.
This whole time.
I thought you were saying sling.
I know. That's why I said
sling,
sling. A sling is completely acceptable. We don't need to rename it. This whole time, I thought you were calling it a sling. Because, he's like, the origins are German. I'm like, well, it sounds like a
I thought it was like a
without
stein, like a
Like,
stein.
I swear to God, this whole time, sling.
That is amazing.
Sling.
You thought it was SLEEN?
Or something,
or EIN or ENE.
Hilarious. Yeah, this is just a sling. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Steve, you have some...
In a stunning conclusion.
And if you remember...
You put like an L at the end of AW words. So you say lols, and there was another one that you did today. Where I was like, it was AW, and then there's a little added L at the end there.
It's that Cincinnati accent. I have never gotten rid of it.
I'm not buying that one. That is Planet Career. Cincinnati accent. You haven't lived in Cincinnati in like 15 years. You live in Denver. Who are you talking? And I've been to Cincinnati. No, you're not like, what's going on? I'm like,
And
hey,
you
can
said-
I have a couple sleens?
And you said
I'm looking to get
pop
tanked.
too. Pop instead of soda. So that's
Yes.
another one.
Yes.
Pop is okay. That's like Chicago. My buddy in Chicago.
Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean St. Louis. We call it soda. I
do.
was like pop. I'm like, what is this? The 50s?
Yeah, I think pop is Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm
All
not
my
totally
family
sure.
in Washington State says pop, so it's
Yeah.
it's there's no it's just a thing. It's like 50
Those are people who drink Pepsi more frequently than Coca-Cola too, which is like weird. You know what I mean?
No
Like,
one
you drink
orders.
Pepsi when there's no other. It's like, well, it's better than RC Cola.
No
RC
one
Cola.
walks into a bar and says Jack and Pepsi.
Pepsi.
No one.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
But I guess in Chicago, because I feel like Chicago, Pepsi dominates the thing. They got a little sweetheart. deal
Really?
with those. I think so. You see a lot of Pepsi signs everywhere. So I've been told.
All right.
You know what I always found bizarre is why does a restaurant have one or the other? Why can't you have both? There's people that might
that's
like
how
to
it
drink
is.
Pepsi. Some people might like to drink Coke. Why can't you have both?
They probably
Let's
make a
have a
deal. It's like,
licensing,
listen, you can't have both.
Yeah, they came in and they cut
It's a
deals.
licensing thing.
But this is our alternative to the Jack and Pepsi.
Is it really an alternative? You know
Well-
what? I'm. You know, when we share this, I'll have to really ask people that because I think that's better.
Yeah.
But would I call it an alternative?
So
You know,
only
like-
an alternative because Jack and Coke is refreshing in the sense of people's minds. It is a refreshing cocktail. It's also a very easy cocktail to order. That's part of the charm. But you got to remember, number one cocktail in America is
Martini. No.
No. Margarita.
Margarita. Number one. I mean, and then mules kind of fall in right behind.
Yeah, I thought you
Margaritas
might
are
have
big.
done I thought you might have done a ginger ale for your mixer, but you went for a club soda.
Yeah, isn't that a highball?
Yeah, it's just a highball. Those are all highballs. If you just take a spirit and a soda and mix it, that is a highball. You could play with ginger ale, ginger beer. Ginger beer and bourbon is really good together.
Really good.
Yeah.
See, now that might be the alt to perhaps
Yes.
shake people on. You know?
Now, if you're going to have to use pop, at least buy Mexican Coke so it's real sugar and not corn syrup.
What about some Whole Foods cola? Maine Roots cola.
I remembered the name of the producer. I think it's Fentimans. Does a whole line of, let's call them natural pop, but better ingredients, classic recipes. No reason root beer and bourbon wouldn't be a really good.
I kind of wondered about that because root beer can be really good, especially when it's like, like keg. Like some places have like, we have like a freaking keg of root beer.
So instead of calling this the Sling episode that you...
It still sounds like Sling. Sling.
Sling. This is just the highball episode. But we made a sling. Our highball is a sling.
He hits the N more than the G. That's the thing. He's like the sling.
Ali, you got the wheels turning for your episode next week? Do you got an idea going yet, or not?
So many wheels turning. Yes. No, definitely. And if anything, like this is almost like putting more. The wheels are spinning even more so. But I literally was sitting there the other night and I was having a rib with salsa, and I was like, no, this Gomai stuff is amazing. I kind of am feeling this vibe too of just really riffing off of just kind of maybe like just playing around with food and stuff like that.
Great.
To see what else we could do with it. And I feel like the part of the answer too here is not just drinking the whiskey like kaboom.
Yeah.
Or if I do like have, because I went to that tasting, that Highland Park Scotch tasting, and we were having it small bite, but small little neat shot or whatever, bringing something that's quite intense. You know what I mean? Which is not hard for some
Well,
reason.
I can't wait for next week's episode. And what I'll do, I will send you a photo of my pantry list so you guys can post it. I'll send it here shortly.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys.
Great episode.
Great to
It's
see
a good
everyone.
one.
We're
It's a
going to
good
be
one.
back here
Sling.
on next Saturday. Ollie's going to be pronouncing his meal correctly the whole time.
No, I'm going to make a sling. We saw a sling. I'm going to show you what a sling is. And
Yes.
it will be like out of the spleen.
Yes.
Yeah, just...
Thank you guys for this episode. I'm gonna
great
end
to
the
see you.
show, and we will see you next Saturday at 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 1 o'clock Central where Ali is, and 12 o'clock Mountain where Steve is in Denver. Thank you guys for a great episode again of Eat This Drink That.
I need a drink.
You guys.
See you soon.
Bye, guys.